Bom, e só para finalizar mesmo, agora
And now to really finalize,
eu teria muitas coisas para mostrar.
I would like to show you much more, but I would just like to tell you a small anecdote.
Que, enfim, quando eu era pequenininha, na minha casa tinham várias reuniões, iam os artistas, os poetas.
When I was a little girl, there were a lot of meetings in my house where a lot of artists and poets would come over.
E certa vez minha mãe, até foi uma vez que estava Max Bill, Tomás Maldonado, o grupo Noigandres dos poetas.
You know, when I was little, there were the Maldonado.
Max Bill, Maldonado. E minha mãe...
so basically my mother would tuck me in, so I would come back, you know, get out of bed, you know, she'd tuck me in, get out of bed, and she'd say, no, you have to go to sleep. And I'd say, no, Mommy, I want to go listen and see the poets.
No, mamãe, I want to listen the poets. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Obrigada.
Can I turn the projector off? And everybody want to come in a little closer? So I have a couple of questions. So we've been throwing a lot of sort of conceptual ideas out there, and maybe what we'll do is back up a little bit and talk about something a little bit lighter. I want to focus on one of the themes of this exhibition, which is it's really about the formal and informal exchange of ideas and information between artists in North and South America, and even between artists in North and South America and Europe to some extent. And these artists, they traveled, they wrote letters, they published magazines, wrote manifestos. You know, the Art Maddie wrote in their journal that we beg for exchange, and that's more or less what we're doing up here today. Today we have the internet, we have email, we have social media, we have Facebook, we've got YouTube. How are these sort of new tools impacting the exchange of information and ideas among artists? Anyone want to start with that? You want to speak about that?
I use the print media to generate my ideas, magazines, books, and commercial packaging. So most of my ideas come through this visual material. It's basically a popular culture that influences my work. So those are things I gravitate to, and I seldom, get a chance to meet with artists and talk to them about what I do. I spend a lot of time in the studio creating my work, and it's just between me and the work, and looking at all this information that I collect. I have a visual merchandising background. I used to work for Bendel's on Fifth Avenue and Charivari and Takashima years ago. So I get a lot of magazines still that I subscribe, fashion magazines. So I'm always looking at various typefaces, titles of certain kind of fashion names and color, and those are the resources that I look into, and then I use that to bring in these ideas, with a lot of other things, of course, but that's what I use.
So you're really looking towards sort of print media?
Print media for my work, yes.
Traditional print media.
Print media.
And Don, what about you? I know Don just recently joined Facebook.
Yeah. I'm
and has
using
been
it
having a ball, actually.
I'm using it more for getting some images of my work out there, and I've gotten into conversations with artists from all over the world, so that's really been amazing. But your site, Minuspace, started that for me when I became one of the early participants in Minuspace. It just opened up a whole way of using the internet to expand how, just the exposure of my work, and a lot. And then also what I was seeing, I don't think I've used any of that stuff as far as to make new work from, per se, but I'm always like gathering information, looking at things. There's a lot of things in the real world that influence my work, or for color or shapes or something, so I'm always looking to.
And can you give a few examples of things you're looking at in the real world? Like what's piquing your interest?
Well, like one of the paintings you showed, Ava, I had a hard time finding the color for that, and tried a lot of different things. And then one day I was on the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway, and a little copper-colored Mini Cooper went zipping by, and I was like, that's the color. And
right.
so then I couldn't wait to get back to the studio and try to mix something, you know, similar to that, and it kind of worked. So there's things like that all the time that, you know, just looking for stuff. Sometimes I see, you know, different colors and fabrics on women's clothing that I think I mentioned something to you that you were wearing, Molly, at one time that I thought that's a color combination I could work with. So it's just gleaning stuff from everywhere. Years ago, I worked with a theater company as a techie, and it was with Ping Chong, who did a form of visual theater that used a lot of projections and shadow plays. And I think his having a scrim in most of his work is something that became an idea that I took into my work with the central black sheen that kind of is in the center of my images.
Mm-hmm. So coming from theater, specifically, Ping Chong's theater.
Here and there, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Lenora, you and I only met this evening, actually, but we've been in communication for weeks already, solely by email, which I think is a pretty compelling thing. I've been able to see your videos, I've been able to listen to your audio files, and we've never met, and I've never been to Brazil, and you've never been to my space in Brooklyn. So I think that there's a really interesting kind of exchange happening here, and your father was greatly involved in sort of the exchange of information among artists. But how are new technologies, the internet, email, how is that impacting your work?
I would like to say that I have to recognize that I'm an artist who's not very involved with technology, even though I appreciate it very much, and I do pay attention to it a lot.
Ao mesmo tempo, é claro, eu trabalho com vídeo, trabalho com fotografia, mas sempre numa situação mais, vamos dizer...
And I do work with video and photography, but more in a situation of partnerships. And of course, I really appreciate this technology world, which actually enabled us to have our first contact and to continue communicating.
A gente tem, por exemplo, dos poetas concretos, que é o Augusto de Campos, que está com quase 80 anos e, ao mesmo tempo, quer dizer, se desenvolveu totalmente nessa direção. É uma pessoa hoje em dia que trabalha.
Well, actually, Augusto de Campos, who is one of the concrete poets, is almost 80 years old, and he's gone in that direction. In other words, he uses a lot of technology and computers and programs. But I particularly don't use. My work has not gone in that direction.
Thank you.